Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So, on the back of the last few that I've been making, which has been about the government presenting this picture of vaccination and non-vax as being an issue. And when you actually look at the figures, I was quite surprised to actually think about it afterwards. I kept thinking, did I actually get that right? 11,000 people from May to December. Only 11,000 people were in critical care that had COVID-19 positive tests within 28 days. And of course, I don't know whether all of those that would have been in there that was their primary cause for being in there. They may have contracted it while, having a heart operation or whatever. It's actually quite a small number. That's like 1,000 to 2,000 people a month. Of course, that's over 6-7 months, so that there may be peaks, and that will cause more of a problem, probably during the end of winter. But it's not actually such a big number. So, and 6,000 people were the ones that weren't vaccinated, and if they are 60 to 69-year-olds, is that really what the government's worried about? Because every single briefing from the very beginning, they've been talking about the importance of vaccination and sort of trying to talk about anti-vaxxers and this, that and the other, and not being swayed by social media, even though apparently it's only a few people that are doing it on Sky News. But what is the importance of them keep? Because, how many anti-vaxxers are there out there? Probably less than 1%. People having alternative views to what everyone else believes is not a very popular thing. But what was the point of the government? So I don't believe they're worried about this 1%, less than 1% of people that aren't doing it. So what was the point of keep talking about them all the time? Well, the reason is because if you think about having this vaccination, it wasn't very well tested compared to others. Yeah, I'm sure it was tested well enough, but it was done very quickly, so people would have that perception of it not being safe. So how do you get people to do something that may not be safe or may not be in their best, they personally might not want to do? But the easiest way, if you're not in a dictatorship, which most countries aren't, would be just to, to tell them to do it, or else you get put in prison, although some countries are following that kind of line now. The easiest way, especially when you've got, most people, they just follow what they believe on television and in school, and people with white coats and suits, is through fear and intimidation. You cast the magic spelling, because words have powers, and we all know that, because we know that poems and speeches, they resonate with us if they use those particular words, they lose those particular sentiments. And in the West, we're very influenced by words and by stories and things, of humans in general. So it's like in Animal Farm, in 1984, that element that's been used in reality, in the sense that you create a big brother figure, you create, that's not Big Brother, is it? Who is the one that they're all worried about? And I can't remember it's a sheep in Animal Farm, isn't it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. You create that figure, like the Osama bin Laden, the bogey figure, something to hate. So in this sense, they didn't have a figure. So the thing is, the fear, the intimidation, they want to, because that's how people get you to do things you don't want to do, is not by threatening you, but by subtle means, in the way they speak to you, the words they choose to speak to you, the way they make you feel while using certain particular words, and those words can hurt. When people want you to do something you don't want to do, or that's not in your best interest, that's how they do it, by subtle means in how they speak to you. And that's what's going on with this anti-vax movement. That's why they keep talking about it, not because they're worried about this less than 1% of people, because people aren't swayed by social media anti-vax, not majority of people, maybe younger people, but most people are swayed by what they see on television and what other people are doing, and that's the important thing, the sheep-like nature. And how do you control that? I'm sure some psychiatrists could talk about that, but that's how you do it. You create that fear and intimidation. You create the fear by how many deaths. Then you create the fear of, like, What's going to, if you're one of these people who's an anti-vaxxer, don't want to be one of them, do you? They're the enemy. They're the Osama bin Laden. That's what they're trying to create into you. They're the sheep from Animal Farm, is it? Or who is it in Big Brother? I can't remember the name of the person that the 5-minute hate is always against. That's the subtle way of doing it. You're not threatening people. You're not intimidating people, but you are cleverly, subversely, through subtle means, creating in them a fear and creating in them an image so that they don't want to be that. They want to be the person that helps the NHS. They want to be, so then you all line up to have an experimental toxin put inside you. I'm not saying it doesn't have benefits and this and the other, but I'm talking about how how words and how stories and how these elements of these different characters are used in real life, not just in politics and lots of different things, to get you to do things that are not in your best interest or something you don't want to do, because that's how people do it, because they can't just threaten you, I'm going to shoot you if you don't do this, because that won't work for most people unless you're in a dictatorship where you're used to that. In a free, so-called free, though no one's free, country, that's how they do it. Through words, through creating pictures in your mind and creating heroes and villains. And that's what I believe is the real reason why they keep talking about anti-vax all the time. I don't think they really are. You could say, are they concerned because they want everyone to, maybe, because they want the economy back, so if everyone's vaccinated then this thing will go away. But I don't think it will work, because it doesn't work that way. The vaccine's not 100%, it's never going to, that's not going to work that way. And I don't think they see it that way. They don't see us that way, because if they did, they wouldn't allow shops to sell food that is known carcinogenics, or foods that have too much sugar and salt in them, or they do something about that. But they don't do anything like that, so they don't care about us as individuals. Is that would the claim to be, because otherwise they wouldn't have cigarettes, you wouldn't have alcohol, you wouldn't have all these things that we know. Like, I guess some of it's to do with freedom, but they would have more regulation, especially on food, and because heart disease and things and cancers are the two things that cause the NHS the most trouble historically, and a lot of that is to do with, well, other than smoking and drinking, is to do with the food that we eat in our lifestyles. Take care, God bless. Peace.